Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Sorry, it's been a little bit of a while, but school has started, and we're very thankful. So I'm gonna tie a fly called Queen of Waters. Very, very old fly. Was super popular in the United States, even in the late 1800s. Mary Orvis Marbury, in her book, The History of Flies, and what anglers were fishing, almost everybody said Queen of Waters. I'm going to use a Mustad Wetfly hook in size 8. Putting it in the vise. Gonna mash the barb, of course, here. Trying to do this filming with a DSLR camera, so my first time, so hopefully it works out and everybody can see everything clearly. So I'm going to start with just some white thread. This is Uni 6.0 and about a hook eye in length behind the eye. I'm going to use the tag just to make some nice even touching turns, winding all the way back to about the hook point. And then I'm going to cut off that little waist piece, and then we're going to wrap over that little bit of tag there that was left behind from trimming that piece to about somewhere between the point of the hook and the barb. This is a palmered fly. The hackle I'm going to use is a whiting hen cape. The pattern calls for brown. I don't have straight brown, so I have this brown tipped sort of honey color in the middle. Whiting hen capes are really dense fibers, so I'm actually going to strip one side, so I have a little bit less when I go around and palmer it. Just selecting the feather and sort of seeing how long. So I'm taking the stem and kind of lining it up with the shank and seeing how far out each barb will stick. And you want it about a hook gap in length, plus a little bit. And so that's what I was checking there. I'm having the good side face me right now, which you can't see, and I'm taking off the left-hand side because I'm going to tie it in by the tip with the nice side facing me, and then as I wrap away from myself, it'll have the barbs on it. And just doing a couple turns, and then the body's red floss. This is Danville 4-strand rayon in orange. There's lots of different colors of orange that you can use. I'm not sure exactly which one this is called, but you could do a darker one or rustier one. I'm only going to use 2 of the 4 strands. And the way I tie it in is I'm just going to slide it behind and up onto the side, and then I just pinch it there with my finger so I can grab the bobbin and create some tension. And then I'm just going to pull it back to length. Looks like I didn't get the 2 tips there to be the same length in that process. That's all right. And then I'm just going to start to wind up the hook shank and do collecting wraps. When you do these collecting wraps up, don't do it in full tension because it'll spin everything around. So do it a little bit softer of a tension, and it'll collect all the materials up nice for you. Just cutting everything so it's not longer than the body there. And then again, just some collecting wraps here to gather all those materials as I head up. Every now and then I'm stopping to unwind the thread just to flatten it a little bit. Uni thread doesn't flatten perfectly in my findings, so it's hard to get it really, really flat. UTC or Danville would be much better for that. But here we are. So now I'm making the body, and we're going to speed it up here. to twice the speed. You don't need to watch this process in slow motion. Every now and then I'm just gonna stop and flatten the thread to try and make a smooth body if I can. And yeah, I love these wet flies. This is a very old one. This is actually also in Bergman's trout. It's one of his plates. It's probably the simplest one in all of the Bergman wetfly plates, but I like the action on these Palmer flies, and you can fish them like a wetfly, traditional methods on the swing, upstream. You can strip them like a streamer, like a mini streamer. It's just very, very effective flies. So now I'm going to wrap the floss up. Floss is always sometimes challenging. If you don't get the tension right in the beginning of the wraps, it spreads. And this is a perfect example where it's kind of spreading out on me, and it's getting a little unruly. So I got to go back and try again. So I'm unwinding here, and you really got to get those first couple of wraps with the floss flat, but with enough tension. See, there I messed up again. I spread it out already, so gotta start again. And just take your time with this. It's just once if you get that start right, you can get that body shaped right and smooth, everything does work out just fine. So just keep trying, and eventually you'll get it going. A little spread is not a big deal, but you want it to kind of stay together, all the parts, so as you wrap it, it stays level and flat. And you're going to do wraps where you wrap over a little bit of the prior wrap, just a little bit to make sure there are no gaps there, and keep everything nice and smooth. So we're just wrapping up to meet the thread hanging from the bobbin, again stopping every now and then to flatten it out and make sure it's going on nice and smooth, to create that smooth underbody. Flattening it out every now and then, and then we're just going to catch it in with our tying thread up here. Don't skimp on those last wraps. Make sure those last ones are good too, because it's going to set up your wing and so forth. So you got to have the body nice up there. Just do a couple turns behind the floss, and then a couple turns in front. Really lock it in there. And then trim it off close. And then we're going to grab that hackle, that hen cape, and we're going to bring it up in sort of open spiral turns to give us that palmered body. Just hook on the hackle pliers here. The hen cape is very long, and you could probably do it without hackle pliers, but it's kind of nice to have them for when you get up to the front and it starts to get shorter. Then you don't have to be trying to hook them on at that point. You can do the open spirals in whatever sort of spacing you like. It's a very simple way to vary the fly and what the fly does. With tighter spiraling or greater space between them, and have less fibers. But you can see here, even with one side stripped, you can imagine if you had both sides of the feather, you would have a lot of hackle on here. So these whiting hen capes are very, very dense. So depending on what you have, if you have an Indian cape, you might want to keep both sides. And I'm just kind of stroking the fibers back, so see how it looks as I'm doing it, trying to get the angle the way I like and the spacing even. Get up here to the front of the head and give it a nice good wrap. By touching it, by tying in at the tip, when you get up here to the head, you have the hen capes are pretty uniform in size, but it's a little bit bigger as you get near the butt end of the feather. So there's a couple wraps to tie it in there. Snip it off close. If you have any wayward fibers, now's a good time to tidy up things. Head in there, either tie back or go in there with your scissors, and then just make a nice landing pad there for your wing. A little bit of flat space to tie in. Just gonna clean things up there a little bit, some wayward fibers. And we're gonna tie in a teal wing. We want the head to be black. I'm just gonna do a couple turn whip finish here, and remove the white thread and tie in some black thread to do the wing and the head of the fly. I'm gonna go in now with the black thread, starting at the head, the hook, eye, winding up a little bit. Gonna remove the waist piece, and we'll cover up that little tag as we go back to where we're gonna tie in the wing. Now again, we're gonna use teal. If you don't have teal, you can use mallard flank. One of the tricky things about both those kinds of feathers is, unlike a quill, they don't really make, great slips, to have matching wings. So I'm gonna go away from the vise now and just show you kind of, one method to get, fibers from either side of the teal feather to tie in as a wing. So basically what I'm doing there is I'm taking one flank feather and getting two sections of either side. That's the quantity of fibers I'm going to use, and it's a little challenging. They don't like to stay together like a slip, and I'm separating the tip of the feather there and getting those kind of sections about as even as I can. It's a little bit of a hand and finger coordination setup here, but see, I'm sort of isolating the tip and having those sides that I'm going to use to make the wing pulled out. And then sort of to help, I'm just trying to get them to marry back together, but they don't always want to stay, so it's a little challenging. And then to sort of help my grip, I'm just grabbing the stem there with hackle pliers so I can kind of put it in there, hold the tip, and then you're going to pinch and sort of fold both sides. You're trying to line up the tips of either side of that feather together as you fold it, right? It's a little hard to do. Some feathers cooperate better than others, and once you get them sort of lined up, you pinch that, and then you're going to cut it free from the stem. And then you can switch back into the hand, and then you have your wing right there. with the tips lined up. So now we're going to come back to the fly. I've sort of flattened out the palmer to make a little bit of a landing spot. And, some of the tips are a little shorter on the top. Doing a pinch here, pinch and loop. Just let the bobbin hang and sort of let the weight of it naturally pull those down while you're pinching hard and holding the wing, and then do a couple tight turns to hold it. Now, what's happened here is that I got a decent tenting, but on the wing side that's closest to me, I didn't actually have the tips aligned very well, so some of them were a little bit shorter on the wing closest to me, and that's pushing in and pushing over. And it's, again, this is a fly for fishing, so you don't have to agonize on the perfect wing. If you're going to frame it, that's one thing. If you're going to fish it, even if you get a perfect one, after that first fish hits it, that wing's going to kind of be destroyed a little bit. It's not the strongest of like a quill, where it's going to really kind of stick together. So cut off those butts at a slope and just wrapping them down nice and tight now, covering them up at the same time from the tip, from the head of the hook, from the eye of the hook up to that tie-in point, just trying to cover everything up and to build the head at the same time. And try not to make the head too big, but at the same time you want a head. I'm fussing with it. Clearly that does bother me at the time, that side is not right, but there you have it. Sometimes you nail them, sometimes they come out slightly less than perfect. And just finish up here with a whip finish from back to front. Give it a tug tight. Cut off that thread. Playing with that wing a little bit more. Trying to get those feathers to sit a little bit better for you to see. The barring on the teal is awesome. So is Mallard flank. Just gonna use a little head cement here. This is Sally Hansen, hard as nails. Just basically to get a nice glossy head. Recommend 2 to 3 coats. 3 coats for sure will do it. Sometimes you get it done with 2 on the smaller flies. Just go all around, get a little, that first coat is gonna soak in, so that's hence the other coats. Give it at least 10 minutes between coats to make sure it's dry and hard before you go in, and just make sure that eye is clear. And I'm not going to go through each of the coats, but just did one for you there, a little spin in the fly. That's all. Thank you very much. Bye.